Christiane, who is here to do a workshop called Hero's Journey. And one of the things about the Hero's Journey that I don't know if y'all familiar, the stories, we used to have them up here. I don't know, not as many anymore. But the Hero's Journey is that we were born into this, and then we have to get cast out into learning things, right? Got to break hearts, get our hearts broken, have that which we hold, and then generally have to let go at some point, right? So the idea of the hero's journey is this return home. And one of the things I would like to express about this in this introduction is that Christiane has helped remind me that this is a process of disillusion. Through this process, you've been such a support for me. And this process meaning, whether you know or not, the business closed, but more than that, I'm leaving my home here. And I have been in this canyon for the past 4 years making these observations, and I feel like very much a couple months ago I was going through my own death and rebirth. And I think many of us have done this at least 3 or 4 times in our lives, had this opportunity for change, but it feels, never gets easier, but I'm getting more familiar with the terrain of what it is to shed that which no longer serves, to be able to lay down an identity in gratitude, be able to compost that, and then see what happens next. But I can only do that if I'm open. And losing sometimes feels like something's being taken, but this has been an opportunity, all of you in supporting me and coming out, and Sage and Era coming all that way, and last night the show was just epic. I just know that what happens next for me is seated on how I lay this down. And when I do it in gratitude, I'm able to transform this experience into the greatest weekend of my life. And I want to say, what comes next, I'm going to be sitting right in here for this one. Christiane, thank you for coming here and doing this workshop. We're going to see what happens next, how to be the hero of the next chapter in your story. So, Christiane.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason, for this wonderful introduction and for hosting us. And everybody here is, of course, a loyal customer and loyal friend, supporter, community member. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. This is epic. Like you said, last night was spectacular. Spectacular. Thursday night, awesome. Man, that room was bursting with people. We had so much talent in this house, you guys. It was fabulous. So the journey just continues. And what I just really got what Jason said is the idea, we don't necessarily know what comes next. There is that element of surprise, and being on that cliff and stepping off that cliff, and I immediately have to think of Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, when he is about to move from the one cliff to the other cliff to go to where the sacred grail is, the Holy Grail, that he just needs to let go, and he just needs to take that step, and then, look at that, the bridge appeared. And that's what happens when the hero is willing to undertake the journey, when they're willing to let go of the ordinary worlds that they're used to, when they're willing to step out of the tower that they have built for themselves, that dungeon that they're so used to, because a lot of times we're comfortable in uncomfortable situations because that's what we're used to. But hey, at least I know what I'm dealing with, and it's so much more scary to be out there in the unknown. At least here, I know what the rules are, I know what to expect, it's safe. And then there comes that point where the hero is just getting pushed inside. No, you can't. You just can't do it anymore. A lot of times it's outside circumstances. What happened with the Nomad? Didn't see that coming. A lot of times, our partner gets sick and dies. We get a divorce. We didn't plan on it. Our kids are moving out. They study. They go to different cities. They get married. They have children. We get a job opportunity. There are so many outside circumstances that come to us that then essentially force us gently to say, okay, I just can't stay in this tower anymore. I have to move out of it. It's time for change. And that's what starts the hero's journey. It's called the call, the calling of the hero. And this is a journey that's been going on for thousands of years. It's been going on since the beginning of the dawn of time, since humans started gathering around the campfire and started telling stories to each other, because that's how we used to learn. That's how we would imbue our knowledge, our wisdom to the future generations and teach our children. And the children would learn from their parents on how to conduct life, how to stay safe, how to survive and thrive in their environment. It was the way for the elders to give their wisdom to the future generations. So this has been going forever. And the difference between a story and a myth is a story is a personal evolution, it's a personal experience, a personal narrative. Whereas a mythology is a common narrative, it's a common story, that is a cultural story. And that's why we have so many creation myths, for example. Every indigenous culture has a creation myth. And we have religious myths, and then we have fairy tales. And when you really wrap your mind around how important stories are and storytelling is in every culture that's ever been on this planet, any place, any time frame, it's always been part of our experience as humanity. And now we have a lot of more words to put around it. We have a structure that we put around it, and most of you have, of course, heard of Joseph Campbell. He is the leading authority in the Western world when it comes to mythology and what he coined the hero's journey. He wrote a few books. One of them is The Hero with 1,000 Masks. And what makes him so awesome is that he was literally George Lucas's consultant when George Lucas was sitting there and writing the script for A New Hope, which was just the one movie that he wrote at that time. And then with the success of the first Star Wars movie in 1977, then he penned the other one. He already had it all in his head. He had the whole Anakin Skywalker turning into Darth Vader story mapped out in his mind. And yet, Joseph Campbell was absolutely instrumental in guiding George Lucas through the development of the hero's journey, the cycle of the hero's journey, in order to have the greatest psychological impact on his audience, where we get sucked into the story, we can identify with the hero. We are going with the hero on their journey, and we're struggling with them, and we're looking at their experience, and we're gathering the resource, and we're cheering for him, and then we're feeling sad with him, because there is something very, very deeply psychological that's taken place. Why do you think the kids are so crazy about superheroes? Because every single one of those superhero movies, it is perfectly structured after the hero's journey. And that's what makes them so special. And that's why they so deeply speak to us. They speak to a part in us that we just can't explain. It is visceral, it is so deeply, it's actually thousands of years that are being activated in this quest that we're all taking together. I once said in the workshop, and the person said, you are a hero simply because you were born. Simply because you chose to be here, you are on a hero's journey. And I love the idea that the hero's journey is actually holographic. There is a macro level and there's a micro level. You coming here today is a mini hero's journey. You're taking 90 minutes out of your day today, saying, I'm going to go out to the Nomad, I'm going to listen to this lecture, and I'm going to get something out of it. Right now, you're on a quest, and you came willingly. Thank you for that. I don't know, some of you might have come unwillingly, and you're here, you're doing it, and that is a quest in itself. Then there is the big, big quest of this whole life. And then every single endeavor that you've ever done, every adventure you've ever embarked on, every trip you've taken, every career change you have done, every relationship you've ever engaged with, anything you've ever achieved in your life was a mini or a bigger hero's journey. Some hero's journeys take a few weeks. Going on a vacation is a hero's journey. I did it 9 years ago for my 50th birthday when my sister and I decided we're going to walk the El Camino. And that was a quest. 11 days, we had it all mapped out. We knew what we were getting into, and I put the hero's journey framework around it to have the greatest outcome possible, the greatest learning, the greatest experience. And that was a 11-day quest. Then some of you guys are married for a long time. You have been in a relationship for a long time. Parents, having children yourself, being a sibling, those are hero's journeys. Having a work engagement. Think about the last time you embarked on a new career, or being in that transition point perhaps right now, right Jason?
Yeah.
Where you get to figure out what's my next career move, what is the next way I'm going to be making my living, what is the next way I want to have that fulfillment and create a legacy, make a contribution to society, serve. It might be that you got sober, or that you changed some behaviors, some patterns, you started walking, you started working out. Those are all quests. Every single one of them. And I want you to really honor that. Let's take a moment and really honor that. All the journeys that you've already been on, this big overall journey of your life that you have agreed to. And if you've ever had any questions about what the hell am I doing here? Why am I here? It's because your soul agreed to this beautiful experience of being in this physical form and having this heroic quest. So just enjoy that for a moment. Yeah, what a cool trip, huh? And that's why I call my life a great adventure. And everything is a game. I like to put these really positive, powerful, encouraging words around experiences. Wow, what an adventure that I get to experience this, challenge in my business, or that you guys know that my husband passed away a year and a half ago. Yeah, that's a challenge, and it's a whole new hero's journey that I'm being opportuned with right now in completely reinventing myself and figuring out what do I want to do for the rest of my life now that my plan changed a little bit than what I expected. And you're all in your own journey as well. You're all figuring things out for yourself as well, whatever those circumstances are currently. So to look at it from the structural point of view is, it's a circle. That's what makes the beautiful journey so awesome, that it is actually a cyclical movement, and you will understand why I'm saying that. In the beginning, we're sitting in our tower. I used that metaphor already. That is simply a metaphor for, I'm comfortable here. I've been here for a while. I've created these walls around myself. This is my comfort zone. And then things either happen on the outside that compel us on our journey, that call us, or something happens within. There's an internal calling where like, can't stay here anymore. Oh, it becomes so uncomfortable. Or it's a calling that you're being invited on a trip, or you get a crazy job offer, or someone says, man, you need to move to Kanab, it's the coolest place on earth. How many of us are transplants? That's a heroic journey in itself right there. And that's when we are now getting the choice to step through the gate, the portal. And what makes the portal so cool is, it's the differentiation between the ordinary world, the mundane world where we're living, where we are comfortable, everyday business, and then the extraordinary world. That is Carl Jung, by the way, who coined these terms and who's also highly responsible for this whole conscious versus subconscious framework of the hero's journey. So by the time that you're stepping through the portal, you are now entering the unknown world, and you're entering the world of the subconscious where you don't know what's going to happen. It's the unknown. Now here is where we have guardians. Some guardians are the naysayers and the haters. You don't have what it takes. You don't have the money. You don't have the education. You're too old. And the list goes on and on. We also have cheerleaders. So anytime you have someone in your life who's giving you the, well, that's not going to work, poo-poos your goal, that's just a guardian. That's just for you to say, I'm at my portal, I must be at the portal. And this is for me to check in with myself and say, how much do I really want this? How convinced am I that this is what I really want? And then you can thank them. I appreciate your opinion, I appreciate your map of reality, and I'm gonna do it anyway. And then you have your cheerleaders, the people who say, of course you can do it. Oh man, you were born to do this. This is awesome, go for it. So now we have left the ordinary world, we're stepping into the unknown. And that's where the magic begins, because now we're attracting the mentors. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Gandalf, the old wise person. The person who guides us, the person who's been there, the person who knows the territory, the guide. Those are people that we attract because we are ready for the guidance. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so you will create a fellowship, essentially. Sometimes it's just one person who shows up. Disney always has a sidekick. And by the way 3CPO and R2D2 were constructed, the one was the conscious, the other one was the unconscious. Because the little guy, the little robot who usually saves the day, doesn't say a single word, he just beeps. And he makes the little funny remarks that even though you can't hear words, you're laughing because it's that cute little guy who literally saves the day. And that is one of those items that Disney also is a master at, by having little Jiminy Cricket, and you have Pumbaa and Timon with the Lion King. You always have these characters that are accompanying the hero, and they are the fellowship. And think about the Fellowship of the Ring. And if you didn't know that, J.R.R. Tolkien was a professor of mythology at Oxford University when he wrote Lord of the Rings. And Lord of the Rings is his way of making peace with his experiences that he had as a soldier lying in the trenches of First World War Europe. And that was his way of dealing with all of that. And actually a lot of people say that the ring stands for addiction. And so it's fascinating stuff when you really start digging into the symbology of those resources and tools, for example, which, by the way, that's another thing that the hero gets. So first of all, they get helpers. They get fellowship. I'm going to make a little magical magician here, because that person has a lot of resources. That person gives our hero trust that they can do it. They know they don't have to do it alone, which is huge. And then they also get the tools, the objects of power, the staff, the sword, the book with spells, the talisman, the protective stone, the crystal, whatever it is. And you can think about that for yourself as well. Some of those adventures that you embarked on in your life, and all of a sudden the right people showed up. All of a sudden the right book showed up, the right resource. You were looking through YouTube. Oh, there's another resource. And that is fascinating. I love those synchronicities because they let us know that we are on the path. We are on the right path. We are being supported. We are being loved by a universe that really cares about us. And we must be on the right track. So our hero now has helpers in the form of people. Can be animals, can be natural beings, it can be dragons, it can be deities, whatever you want it to be. And then also in the form of tools and resources. And that's now when the actual journey really begins, because now we're going to go onto the road of trials. And this is where some of the opinions divert a little bit, because we're still a little bit stuck in this culture with the perception, no pain, no gain, which is a little bit contrary to the law of attraction that says, in order to attract really high vibrational experiences, you need to be in a high vibration. And that's the thing that I so love about how Jason presented to the community the idea that the Nomad is closing and that some major shifts are going to happen. And those of you who were there, remember when he said that we're not going to be sad and we're not going to be mad or angry. This is an opportunity and we're going to make the most out of it. And we're going to go out with laughter and with joy and with fun, and we're going to celebrate this. And that's exactly what the law of attraction master would tell you. You want to get your vibration into a high frequency of enjoyment, gratitude, compassion, peace of mind, patience, flexibility, resilience. And then you will have a completely different journey than the person who's like, it's hard. I hate being on this journey. No, so the road of trials is 100% your decision. And when you are on that road, which means you're having a bunch of experience, you're gathering knowledge, you're gathering experiences, then you will at some point enter the cave. And the labyrinth is a very important symbol for that, as well as another word is the maze. And that ultimately means that you're going deep within, you're really facing your deepest. In the olden days, you would say darkest demons. The Minotaur was very famous in Greek mythology. You had to slay the dragon, that's the Nibelungen stories with Siegfried. And you somehow had to conquer the beast. You had to slay the beast, and then you were free. Well, as I started studying this really in depth, and I started putting my own slant to it as I was teaching it, I thought, man, do I really want to do that? I'm not a slayer. I don't want to be that, do I have to be the warrior and all that? So I started challenging my teachers, and I'm like, so what is it if I just want to be on top of the mountain in my temple and I fly with dragons and it's all benevolent and I'm studying and I'm a good student and all that? And she was like, why don't you give it a try? And that's when the law of attraction showed up in my life, and I started really wanting to master how does it work, and it's my project, it's my lifelong project. How far can I take it? That by consciously raising my vibration and spending as much time as I can in serenity, in peace of mind, in gratitude, in freedom, another huge word for me that I really played with a lot last year, and then manifest from that point of view. And I can be on top of the mountain in my beautiful Egyptian temple, and I have my dragon friends flying around with me, and that's how I learn, versus being the warrior who has to be in the cave slaying. And then a few years after me starting to talk about that, and I'm teaching this in my classes, one of my students went, I don't know, I don't like climbing mountains and I don't want to go in the cave. Can I just kind of meander through the forest? And I'm like, you know what? Why not? Try it out. Try it out and see how it works for you. If your hero's journey, your road of trials is simply meandering through the forest, why not, right? And you know what? She has a good life. I have to give her credit, and that's at least 15 years ago, so it seems to be working. And she makes pretty cool stuff happen in her life, so you might entertain that. And if you're really stuck on that, I want you guys to know, in German, we don't have the concept of no pain, no gain. It's an American saying. And there are so many of them where I'm like, I didn't know that. Doggy dog. I really always thought it was doggy dog. Until I saw it written down. I thought it was something cute until I saw it written down like, what does dog eat dog? Well, that's doggy dog. And I'm like, what? And literally, that's only 4 or 5 years ago. And I've been here 34 years. I'm like, how could I have not known that? Because it wasn't a concept in my mind. I didn't grow up with it. And that really must make you think. Like, well, if it's a universal truth, then it's universal. If it's a cultural truth, then it's only in specific cultures. And then you have to really ask yourself, is it really, really true? You know, it is quite a trip when you think about it. And that's why traveling is so important, you guys. And looking at different languages and looking at movies in different languages and different cultures. Because then you're just opening your perception. You're going, I thought that this was reality. And it's obviously just in my own cultural group. So be open to that, you guys, and really think about how you want to construct your journey. If it's going into the cave, going into the dark, or going onto the mountaintop and flying, having fun, or meandering through the forest. It's your choice. You get to choose how you want this journey to go. The important thing is you will end up at some point facing that point where it's time for transformation. You're being exposed to a new belief. You're being exposed to a new perception about how life works. Someone comes and gives you this big mind-blowing experience in the form of a book. Donna gave me a book years ago called The Answer. Loved it. First time I heard about the RAS, I totally freaked out. I called you, remember that? And I was like, oh my God, Donna, the RAS, the RAS. And then I started talking about the RAS for years. The RAS is the part of our brain that is right here at our reptilian brain when the information, the billions of pieces of information that you're absorbing every moment of your life have to get filtered through, and here's the scientific definition, only the pieces of information can get through the RAS that are already matching already existing patterns in your brain. Which means if you had an upbringing that told you life is hard, then you will always sort about hard, versus the person, life is easy. You're not good enough. We will get all the evidence in the world to prove to ourselves that we're not good enough because our RAS only lets through the pieces of information that confirm the already existing belief. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yep.
And that is huge, so huge. So that was a pivotal moment in my life. It changed my whole reality in that moment. I love it. And I recommend that book all the time to people. And we all have had moments like that. When some piece of information came to us that shook our foundation. We were different from that moment on. And that's exactly what happens to our hero when they come to the point of atonement. Atonement means to become one again. At one-ment. I love how that word breaks up. Atonement. When the hero gets atoned, and what that really means, they're now elevating their masculinity and their femininity, and they're bringing it together in a higher vibration. Luke had to forgive his father and realize how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader. And that's what's so fascinating about the first 3 Star Wars movies, because it helps us to understand and have compassion for this poor young man who loses his wife because he turns to the dark side, because the dark side promised him he's going to save his wife, totally screwed him over, he loses his wife, he loses his kids, becomes Darth Vader. And then the atonement through Luke is by taking off. Oh my God, that makes me tear, you guys. I mean, this is so profound. You have already saved me, is what the Father says. And that is the masculinity in Luke Skywalker that is healing. And by the way, Sean and I were super nerds. We became fan club members. I literally have the Micro Machine Death Star. I have the whole thing, and my kids don't get to play with it. It's locked away. I have it all. I have the Micro Machines of all the different sets of Star Wars. We were fan club members. We had at least 2 dozens of the books. And what's fascinating, because the new series, 7, 8, 9, are a new mythology that they created. So they are not the same mythology that Lucas approved after 83, after The Last Jedi came out, that Luke never killed again. Because Luke's atonement became that he became the magician, and then he just had to do that, and he didn't have to kill anymore. He went from warrior to magician, and he was able to heal people. And then he actually, in the Lucas Sanctions book, he actually married the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, who was a bad guy, a bad woman, and then they became a couple. So, man, that is so deep, you guys. It's fantastic. And then when you think about it, when Frodo throws the ring into the fire, when Sam carries him up. I mean, every single one of these stories, Harry Potter, Narnia, they are all modeled after these same principles. And so the easiest way I've been able to explain it to myself is it's the yin and yang atonement. In the Taoism, you have the one splits into two, two splits into three, the three splits into 10,000 things, and then you have physical manifestation. So the one splits into two, and that is the male and the female coming together, and by elevating and healing our male aspects, which is the giving, going out there, setting goals, making things happen, the active principle, versus the passive principle, meditation, feelings, passive, receptivity, the feminine. And when we have those two, and that is actually a Tai Chi move, you're giving and you're receiving. And when that is in balance, then our whole life becomes magic. And that's how we can raise our vibration. And this is not some mumbo jumbo, you guys. At this point, it is so well researched, and there are people like Joe Dispenza who's becoming really huge. Bruce Lipton is the most clinical of all those researchers because he's all about the research, and it's just phenomenal. And he actually wrote a book, The Biology of Belief. And so if you want to satisfy your left brain and get more of that research, yeah, you guys, at this point, everything is at our fingertips. It's just phenomenal what access we now have. We literally have the Library of Alexandria at our fingertips anywhere in the world. When you have a computer or a phone, you can get the information. So yeah, dig a little bit into that and really see what it does when we are bringing our frequency from the lowest is hatred, hopelessness, desperation. Then we have a neutral. Right under neutral is frustration. Right above neutral is hope. And then it goes all the way up into gratitude and bliss and nirvana and, you know, just unconditional love and all those wonderful things. And you can feel it. You can physically feel it. I was sitting back there, and again, just talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. I was constantly waffling between crying and having tears in my eyes and having full body goosebumps when I was listening to that music last night. It was amazing because it touched something that was so deep, so visceral, you can't help it. And that is frequency, that is actual frequency. And then we put a label on it and call it bliss. Or we are just, I love these kids so much, and I'm so grateful they're here with us. And you guys have been so good, thank you so much. And I just look at them, and then they look at me, and I'm just like, oh my God, my heart is just overflowing with gratitude that I have these beautiful angels in my life. You know, and so you can physically feel it when you are in a high vibration. So imagine having that as the hero in his journey, after having gone through your trials, after having attracted your fellowship, having those tools, having made that step through the gate. And all of that culminates in a gift. you're getting a gift. A boon is what it's called, according to Joseph Campbell. The boon, B-O-O-N. It's a gift, and that is the change, a new perception. One of my students told me the other day, she's really into the Course of Miracles, and she said the definition in the Course of Miracles for a miracle is it's a shift in perception. And that's what the hero gets. They get a shift in perception, something changes for them, and just like Albert Einstein says, once you have opened up a door, once you have changed your perception, you can't go back. You just can't, right? Once it's just like taking something out of, like when you get new laundry, what is it, like a new shirt or new bed sheets, and you're trying to put them back in, it just never works, right? So you just can't do it. You just can't squeeze yourself into that old container once you've come out. And that's exactly what happens to the hero. By having this elevation, this atonement, and bringing together the masculine and the feminine in this new way, and having some kind of a transformation that then becomes the gift. And what's so beautiful about the hero's journey, and that's what makes the hero truly a hero, they need to share it. You need to share it. This is not something that you Gollumish taken home now, and now you're gonna sit there in your new tower for the rest of your life. No, 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 no. The gift wants to be shared. And that's exactly what the hero does. They take the gift after that beautiful transformation, and now they share it with society. Everybody else gets to benefit from it. And then what happens? We're going back through the portal. We're going all the way back home, and guess what? Our cute little tower from the olden days has now turned to a castle. It's somehow enhanced. It's grown because our consciousness has grown. Our consciousness container has grown. We are now able to channel more energy. We're now able to give more of ourselves to the world. And that is the cycle of the hero's quest. We're going back from the unknown, enhanced, transformed, enlightened, back to our old circumstances, and they're never the same again. Never. And now we see, we now have a new home. It might still be the same old house, it might still be the same old career, the same old husband or wife or child. Can be, but you're different, and therefore everything is different. Oh well, and then they lived happily ever after, right? No, because guess what? Next journey. Trust me, the call will come again, and that's why it's a circle. It's so wonderful every time. It's so wonderful every time. And you're the greatest example of how wonderful it can be.
I know. And I mean, you know, even over the past 3 days, from moment to moment, is an opportunity for transmuting grief. Or going through the grief, but transmuting every opportunity to gratitude. Yeah. To have it at all, and to know it, and to let it go, and to be changed, and carry it within now. I don't need the thing.
Yeah. So Jason has a very real experience of that right now. And I know some of you guys here in this room, you have your own journey. You have some serious letting go. And you're sitting in your dungeon, in your tower right now going, oh seriously, she's talking about this, so now I really have to go. Right? So let's just all reflect on that. Where are you being called right now? Where is there a thought pattern that you've been carrying around where like, I just don't want this anymore in my life? One of the things I worked with last year was judgment, self-judgment, self-criticism, worry, anxiety. That was my big theme for last year. And standing here a year later, I've made a few strides. There are certain things that I don't allow anymore to enter my consciousness, or when it does, it's very little in comparison to what it used to be, because I could be mad for 3 weeks if something happened that wasn't to my liking, and I would be like stewing, and I was such a victim. Oh my God, I was so good at that. And blaming, man, I was a good blamer. And that is stuff that I now can look at and say, no, it's changed. I'm not as bad as I used to be. It's easier to step back into the high frequency. It's easier for me to get myself back together and say, Christiane, no big deal. I had a big business deal happening a couple of weeks ago, and I literally was there for a few seconds of like, that really happened. I can't believe this just happened. And then I well, it must have happened for a good reason, and ultimately it's here to serve me. And I was amazed that I wasn't going to go into the dark depths. My business is over, my life is over. What is the purpose of all of this anyway? Let's just get a real job. Everybody who's ever been self-employed knows that one, right? Yeah. And it just was a few seconds and then turn it around. It's going to be okay. It's here to serve me. It's happening for a reason. And those are trained thought patterns that over time have now created the kind of neurology in my brain where it's easier for the information to flow that way than the old way. And my RAS has arranged itself to where now I'm seeing the opportunities versus the detriments and the roadblocks. So what are some of those thought patterns or emotional forms that you simply don't want anymore? If it's anxiety, if it's worry, if it's not good enough, if it's I'm just screwed with this, and this is something I keep doing even so I don't want to do it anymore. Another thing I did this year is I haven't had a single soda since the beginning of the year, because that was one of those things that I'm finally, where I'm like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I'm done with it, and I've said that for 10 years minimum. But I was never able to do it until now, because it was important enough, and the universe kicked me screaming out of my tower, going, Christiane, you have to do it, it's time. It is time, do it. Go through that gate, you can do it. And then the resources showed up, and now I'm doing the internal work with, what is my addiction to sugar? What does it feed in me? Why am I doing it? And what are the bigger implications when I look how I grew up and all that fun stuff. So think about that, and think about patterns, think about behaviors that you're doing that you simply don't want to drag into the new year. What are some of those? What are some fears that you want to let go of? Perhaps there are some people that you need to let go of, relationships that don't serve you anymore. Reactions, yes. Perhaps there is a livelihood that you can't stand. I will never forget the day I was a banker. I will never forget the day when I went into my first NLP session, and that woman did a session with me, 1 hour. She was a master practitioner, and I dealt with some goal-setting issues that I had because I wasn't following through. I wanted to be more motivated. That was why I went. By the time I walked out of there, I was on a cloud. I just walked out on a cloud, because not only did she help me discover something very important about myself and help me change a belief about myself, I also knew from that moment on what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I pretty much quit my job. After that, I kept it for another 1.5 years while I transitioned out of it. Then I started studying NLP, and I became a bookkeeper because I used my banking background for the institutes that I was studying with. And that was a heroic quest, to consciously go on that journey and say, no, I cannot work in this industry. And before that was even worse, because I was in the pharmaceutical industry, and I was in the bunny fertilizer department, which was just absolutely heartbreaking for me. Yeah, I'm not going to go into details. I'm now total wrong crowd here to talk about that kind of stuff. But that was absolutely cliffing. I'm like, I'm not going to get old here. No way. I'm never going to survive that. Or then you have things in your life that simply don't work for you anymore. Perhaps you live in a house that you don't like. Perhaps you even live in a city that doesn't work for you anymore. I know, not here in Kanab, of course. But could be. I've had people who are like, no, I need to move. Oh yeah, we have someone who's going to do some big moving, right, Robin? You're my great adventure example, because that woman got some awesome goals for herself, and you're embarking on a humongous hero's journey. It's so fantastic. And I hope you have lots of cheerleaders who are like, yes, Robin, you can do it. Yeah. We got it. Yeah. And you guys are cheering for each other, right? Yeah, that's right. And everybody here is cheering for Jason. Everybody's like, dude, you got this. Of course the Nomad is gonna pop up in different places, and you're gonna have so many supporters and so many people who are gonna be there for you. Of course, we know that. So I would like for you to turn to a couple of people and please share a little bit what you just learned and what you just discerned for yourself. Let's take 5 minutes. where everybody gets at least 2-3 minutes of expressing yourself.
Yeah.
And where are you at in your hero's journey? What is something you would like to embark on? Just go and share. Okay, well done everybody. I love the buzz in the room. Everybody was engaging, totally love it. Would one of you guys please share a little bit insights, comments, observations? What did you just share here? In a nutshell.
We were just talking, I'm doing a talk tomorrow, and my thing was, the whole, what you're saying is totally, I went to Vietnam, my dad died in Vietnam, and all of a sudden, all these things started happening that I thought I have to go there, and it's basically what you're saying, and I went and it was a life-changing experience, and it's a matter of allowing yourself to see what's there, and paying attention to it, focusing your energy with intention, and all of a sudden things just start to appear.
Yeah.
And there's a path. And it becomes very clear.
Beautiful. And you're parting the seas.
Yes.
And just moving through easy. Thank you for bringing up that beautiful example. Wonderful. Okay, someone here? Can you please share? One of you guys?
Well, we were commenting on observing how this cycle sometimes can just be a 10-minute thought process, you know, like you're just sparring with your own mind, trying to get through some crux there, you know, to get to that at 1 minute, which I really like, by the way, because I'd never heard anybody say that about atonement at 1 minute, and realizing that, and just, you know, realizing that words are spells.
Oh, yes.
You know, that's a good realization. That maybe view that word in a different way, and I kind of appreciate that.
Wonderful. Yeah, can be super tiny micro journeys, like you're saying, or even having a dream at night is a full-on journey. Watching a movie, being enthralled by it, getting out of there going, wow, that just changed my life. That's a 90-minute journey right there. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. How about you guys back there?
We were talking a bit about, you know, some that's already been shared, but just how when you're the most scared is when things can become the most beautiful as well.
Yeah. Because we have that knowingness inside that we're gonna be okay. We're gonna make it back, right? And again, it's that jump off the cliff that Indiana Jones did. There is something that he knew deep down, and we can't explain it, that is pulling us forward. And we just know we have to do it, right? Yeah. And look at you having a baby, right? I mean, becoming a parent, right? Everybody who's done that, whoa, what a crazy journey that is, right? And somehow it always works out. Those kids thrive. What did you guys come up with? If one of you wants to share.
So we were talking about kind of two different things. The first being that reflection around, I love the way that you described it, of like the uncomfortability that like kicks you out to finally get going on it. And like oh fuck, I really do need to change this thing. You know, that type of like, okay, let's get into this. And like how all of those things align, and you were like, you just have to be open to hearing the universe go like, go. And then you take that and go. And then the second thing we were talking about was the RAS.
Yeah.
Because I think all of us were like, oh my god, there's an actual part of the brain that explains this.
Yeah.
Because it's something that we know, and like if you've studied a lot of psychology or therapy and things like that, you're well aware of this phenomenon that people can only see the world through the lens of which they think. And so, but knowing that there's a little part of the brain that is responsible for that was just a beautiful little cherry on top of the information.
Yeah.
So we were
Nice.
talking about that kind of thing, and then you know that how do people get out of that, and the awareness around what that is, and then being but so many people are not aware of how they view the world, or aware that other people do it differently.
And there's a choice at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Choice at all, right?
So that's
Awesome.
kind of what we were talking about.
That is awesome feedback. Thank
And the
you.
hero's journey too, we have all these opportunities like divorce, death.
Yeah.
Marriage.
To put into perspective what's really important, and it's a choice. But if you don't know it's a choice, and you got this part in the brain that's only letting through the stuff that's reaffirming some kind of negative story or some myth that I tell myself that I'm not good enough or whatever it is, and it comes from somewhere, I don't have to go back and find out the person that planted that seed. I just need to know it exists and awareness and let it go.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this talk, is like this is always a choice.
Choice right here, right now.
It is.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. And yeah, I was going to ask you guys. Yes, Tom.
You know, I think the hero's journey, to use a metaphor or whatever, is like writing your own book without knowing the grammar.
Yeah. And without knowing the ending. It just evolves chapter by chapter. And I use that actually a lot as a metaphor with my clients and students, that I'm like, we're opening a new chapter right now. And that might be something very useful for you as you're stepping out of here today, that you're thinking about like, what is a new chapter that I want? And I chose the chapter called Adventure. The Adventurer, that's my chapter that I'm crafting for the next 10 years. And what that does, and you guys mentioned the word intent, it creates the framework for my experiences. It's an adventure story, it's a discovery story. Then there are the redemption stories. There are so many different ways that a story can be expressed. And so when you then really put a chapter title around it and a framework, it will inform the experiences, the people, the events, the situations that are going to come to you, that you're going to be drawing to you. So put some thought into that for right now. What would I like the chapter title of this new chapter in my life to be? Yeah.
Quiet, man. Simple.
Yeah.
Be
Simple,
careful
quiet.
what you wish for. What took you so long? I like that.
Sounds like we have a chapter title back there. She's all the mermaid. It's all about the mermaids. That's a beautiful chapter title when you think about it. That's pure magic. Yeah, please.
Okay, my chapter for my journey is right now is being 87. Is Vondale still there?
No,
No, he got-
What is this? I
he
didn't
drove
hear it.
away, actually.
Yeah, he's older than I am. But what it is how to die clear.
Yes. Yeah.
To go to that last breath, that last moment, and go through the veil.
And this is
Not
so
carrying anything
inspiring.
behind you.
You guys, this is so
Yeah, Not carrying
inspiring.
anything in
Yeah. And you're doing it so consciously, Tom, and I admire you so much for that, because you're now literally at the kind of, a little bit getting closer to that threshold of
That's
coming home to your whatever heavenly castle, and you're doing it so consciously, and that is beautiful, and that is very admirable, and you are setting the tone for many people here in this community. How you and Marsha do it so beautifully, so consciously. Yeah, I want you to know that, how inspiring that is. And so, yeah, we have some really young people here who are literally 80 years younger than you are. Then we have some, we got a lot of middle-aged people here in this room. There's definitely a type. We got some 30s, some 20s, so yeah, we're all in different places, and we all have different chapters and experiences in our life that we get to grow into, the developmental stages of life, okay? So it is different for me now that I am gonna be 60 next year, and I'm thinking about it. And I have a big party planned for it, and I'm gonna definitely go into it, with high hopes and all that. I talked to a 40-year-old the other day. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. And they were giving me the hug. Yeah, 40 is going to be really different now. And I'm like, oh man, that is so adorable, Wait till you're 50, dude. 50s rock. Oh yes, they do. So 70s. Okay, 70s to new 50. Awesome, right? Because it's the many times you have been around the journey and the vibration that you have been raising in yourself, and there's so much more wisdom and the life experience and all that. I have a prediction that it's going to get easier.
Oh yeah, best time of my life.
Best time of your life. Now, isn't that wonderful for all of us who are working towards that? It's like, and that informs us. So that right now is a cheerleader who goes, yeah, it's going to be awesome. Right on, Joanne. You're also one of those phenomenally awesome, mature women that I look up to, because man, you have not changed one bit since I've known you for 15 years. And you're just such a light in this community. Yes, you are. Everybody loves you. And Robin. Yeah.
I got to witness a very beautiful transition from Miss JoJo. That, like, I've seen a lot of people in this community, we've had our hearts and minds changed. And we've got to experience it in this room, some of us, and it's been wonderful to be a witness to many of you, but also be witnessed by you. And I'll say, JoJo, me and you've been through something this week, and I've seen you change in ways that I can't even describe, and it's so beautiful. And likewise, and I see you.
We love you.
I've seen you let go some stuff that's really hard in this lifetime to do, and I've seen you do it, and it's just inspired me to mean it.
Yeah.
So you just gave me an idea. Not only can we go into the cave and transform, we can go to the mountaintop, we can walk through the forest, or we go to the Nomad. And shift will happen. Shifts will happen. Yeah. Because it's magical. It's those magical places. It's that grove. It's the Stonehenge. It's the pyramids. Think about those metaphors, you guys. And we have the choice to create that. You went to Vietnam. What a cool vacation is that? While you're doing your healing work. I mean, how spectacular is that? So please make sure you're going to be here tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I'm definitely going to be here, and I want to hear your story and everything else that's going to be happening. So as I'm coming to a closure, the one thing I want you guys to think about before you're coming out of this, place again and go back to your normal life. What are the resources that you need? What are the mentors? Who are the mentors that you need right now? What are the qualities that you need around you right now for whatever your quest is? Do you just need someone to believe in you, telling you you can do it, you're worthy, you deserve it? Is it just unconditional love that you need right now? Is it trust in yourself? Is it trust in the world, perhaps? Is it compassion for yourself? Is it more self-confidence or courage that you need? So just think about that for a moment. What do I need? What is going to help me propel my journey forward in a good way so that I can go through all the trials and that I can forge my path and that I can do it consciously, I can do it with intent, and I do it gloriously. It's such a glorious adventure, this chapter that I'm writing right now. What do you guys need? So just shout it out, whatever words come to you right now. What are the resources that you guys need to tap more into?
Boundaries.
Boundaries. Ooh, she's going right there now, isn't she? Oh yeah, don't be around there. Yes, good one. Very, very good.
Friends,
Friends, okay.
belief in self.
Yes.
Connection.
Connection.
Faith in yourself. She already said that, didn't she?
You're good, Miss Robin. She's faith in yourself. That's what
Yeah.
Miss Robin said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-confidence.
Self-confidence.
Positive attitude.
Positive attitude.
Serenity.
Serenity. Beautiful words. Peace of mind.
Self-love.
Self-love.
Even when everything's falling apart,
Yeah.
how I treat myself and others through that is
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Yeah.
That awareness of self-love, to love myself through all of it.
Absolutely.
To hold
Beautiful
myself.
To love
words.
other people. Too,
Nice.
Jason.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of this one Buddhist practice where if something terrible happens, what you do is you bring in the hurt. So what happened to me was on a trip one time, and I was just traveling in my car, and I went into this restaurant in this little town up by Boulder, Utah. And at that point, I heard about all those people that were shot down by over Ukraine years ago, and the beating of this, over 200 people killed. And so I had learned about this process where you breathe in hurt and you breathe out love. Because you're going to feel that hurt. Oh my God, those people, they went through that and they died. And then you turn that around.
Yeah. It's
And you say-
Tonglen, it's called. Tonglen.
Nice.
Right.
So that's Tonglen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one way to deal
So
with
you're
those.
transmuting energy,
Yeah.
being able to transmute energy.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful resources, and everything that was just being said must pertain to all of us in some way or another. Otherwise, it couldn't have come out into the open. So let's take that all in right now. And here is one of the most beautiful presuppositions we have in NLP. You know about entanglement, you know about entrainment. Everything comes from the one, which means everything is contained in the universe. And because we are an integral part of the universe, we already possess all the resources. They are already within us. We have complete and utter access to it. So you already have access to boundaries. You already have self-love. You have confidence. You have everything that was just said. It's already within you. It's just a matter of awakening it. And that's what the hero's journey is all about. Exactly. To awaken that, to bring it to the forefront, to make it part of who you are. It's an identity shift. I'm a naturally confident person, is what you will be able to say. I have serenity. I have great boundaries. It will become part of your story. And then when you look back a few years from now, it's just another anecdote. It's just another part of your life that you're sharing with other people, and the journey that you get to share, which then, because it's a gift, is going to bring more healing and transformation to your community. So everybody make a commitment to yourself right now to do your best, to be your own good hero in your own life, and then to do whatever you can to serve, to give it to others, to help others, because you will attract people who need to hear your story, who need to hear your example, people you will encourage, people you will inspire. And with that, I wish you guys a wonderful afternoon. We're coming to a closure now, and then we're going to do some more partying this evening with some beautiful music,
8 o'clock,
okay?
8 p.m.
And
Yeah,
then
here, y'all. Don't miss
more
the show.
goodness tomorrow, you guys. Thank you so very much for being here today. Appreciate you all. Appreciate you so much.
What a
Appreciate
teacher
so
you
much.
are.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Christiane. One more time, can we say